This video will review the two-factor authentication feature for Jonas Encore user application logins. If enabled, after the user has successfully been authenticated with their username and password, they will receive an email with the system-generated unique code value and be required to enter the received value into a new second authentication screen prompt. Before setting this up, it is recommended that your club configure an email address for every user account that is configured for password controls, as two-factor authentication emails will be sent from noreply@jonasclub.com to the email address associated with the user account setup. Your club's IT is also recommended to have the recipient email address added to contacts or other configuration rules to avoid emails being blocked or sent to a user's inbox spam or junk folder. To view, add, or edit an email address for a user, navigate to System Administration, System Setups, Users, General tab. Enter an email address into the email field and select the Save button located in the User Setup screen toolbar. To enable the two-factor authentication feature, navigate to System Administration, System Setups, Global Settings, Password Controls tab, and Two-Factor Authentication section. Select the Enable Two-Factor Authentication for User Logins option and configure the desired interval between two-factor logins in days. If a user has successfully submitted the two-factor authentication, they will not be prompted for two-factor authentication for subsequent logins until the configured number of days has elapsed. If left at 0, then the user will be required to use two-factor authentication for each login. Upon saving the enablement of the new option, if one or more active users do not have an email address, the following warning message will be presented. Users set up without an email address will be forced to enter an email address upon the first two-factor authentication process. The email address entered will be saved to their user setup and used for subsequent authentications. You can set a user and/or user group to be exempt from the password policy in System Administration, System Setups, User and/or user groups under the Restrictions Miscellaneous tab. If the Do Not Enforce Password policy for this user or user group is selected, they will be exempt from the password policy, including the two-factor authentication. This option is suggested for user groups and/or users for the point-of-sale system, so they are not subject to password control because including the two-factor authentication process would slow down the login and re-login process between staff sharing a point-of-sale workstation. Once the two-factor authentication is enabled, users that are set up with an email address will be prompted with a new second authentication screen after successfully logging with their username and password. An email with the verification code will be sent to the email address associated to the user's setup, and the email sender will be Jonas Encore with the email address noreply@jonasclub.com. The user will need to enter the verification code value into the verification code field and select the Verify Code button. The verification code will expire in 5 minutes. Users will only be able to resend a new code to the user's associated email address after the 5-minute period has lapsed by selecting the Resend Code button. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more how-to videos and don't forget to subscribe.